So, one question I'm sure a lot of people that have video game consoles of the retro kind get asked is, what are your oldest, consoles that you currently have on hand? Now, I have four actually five on hand as we speak. One is currently plugged into the TV to be used at any time I want to use it, and the other is, well, basically in my ottoman right now. And those right there are two out of the five that I have that are the oldest ones. That being, of course, the Super Nintendo, the original Super Nintendo, in my ottoman as we speak right now. And then the other one being my PlayStation 2, which is basically the original PlayStation 2, which I got, believe it or not, with an internet connection to it. Yes, I did get one of those PS2s where somebody, because you had to buy it separately, got an internet box connected to its back. So basically, whenever I want to, I can end up connecting the internet to just, see if anybody is still online with the PS2. I've done that in the past. I've done that with the Dreamcast, and there's actual connections that are made at times and people on the other side. But outside of those two, what other ones are my oldest besides, the ones I just mentioned? Well, I'll show you the ones that are my oldest. The first one is probably the oldest that I have out of this. Now, it's not my original version, but this is basically an original version, period. It's not the one I got for Christmas, but I did get it recently, and I do have an HDMI adapter for it, so I can play the games on my television. And that, of course, is the original TurboGrafx. That's right, the TurboGrafx 16. I remember getting my original one for Christmas back when it first came out, around 89 and 90, because I wanted it so badly. I wanted it so badly when it came out because, as I've mentioned many times before, me and my sisters would always have this friendly, family rivalry with our cousins because they would always sometimes get a step ahead of us when it came to the game consoles. So my thought was, why don't we get a shot at that? Why can't we, be the ones that basically say, hey, we got the newest console, we got the newest thing. And our parents, my parents basically said, you know what? Let's get them the newest console. And, give it for Brian, but it's going to be for all three of us. And that's why I got for Christmas the TurboGrafx 16. But like I said, this is not my original one. I don't know what happened to that. But this is basically pretty much the same console. This is the same thing and everything as well. And I do appreciate having it in my collection. I do have some games for it as well to play, from the original Keith Courage to World Class Baseball, which were the first and only games that I had for the system, along with a few other ones that I ended up getting as well. One being Tailspin, and the other being a racing game as well. And I was really glad to have those all added together to be part of my kind of return to form of having my original console back in my possession. Again, it's not the original one I got for Christmas, but it's close to it. So that's the oldest one in the collection. But by far, the second oldest one is actually a revamped design. Now, I do have the means to play this on my modern television in the rec room, as well as in my flat screen CRT, which I have stored away in the garage. And that system that I have capabilities to play for, or that system that I have the opportunity to play on those screens is the NES Top Loader. That's right. This is the original NES Top Loader. I've had this since 1994. That's right. This ain't no, rebuy or whatever, basically the same system, but not the same system. No, this is legitimately the system. This is legitimately the system I got for Christmas in 1994, and believe it or not, it still works. It still works. Yeah, it still works to this very day. And what's crazy is you don't have to use the the dog bone controller that came with it, as it's known. You can also use a regular original NES controller with this too. And I'm glad, and honestly, I'm glad they brought this out. My dad got it for me for Christmas. It was actually one of the first times where I knew what I was getting for Christmas because I was there when he got it, So yeah, this is the top loader version of the NES. This is the NES 2, if you will. And the reason they did this was to capitalize on the popularity of the Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo at that time was in its fourth or third year of existence. So Nintendo decided, let's capitalize on the popularity and revamp and redesign the NES. And that's why you got the top loader. That way you could have basically, an NES answer to the Super Nintendo, which was a top loader as well. And then third and not least, if you will, the other oldest console I have outside of the other two that I mentioned is, of course, the Dreamcast. Yes, the Dreamcast is one of the older consoles I have as well, outside of the PS2 and the Super Nintendo. Oh no, by the way, the GameCube, which is connected to my, which is in the rec room right now, ready for connection and everything. And this is another one of the systems that I actually tested believe it or not, the Ethernet port on, because it does have an Ethernet port that it came with. It's one of them that did come with it. And I tested it out one time and actually did get online, and there was people online, which was really amazing. So you could still potentially get online with this system, which I think is really, really cool in the long run. Now, it did have some other ports to it. It did have a serial port as well as the output for AV out. But I have basically, I think I have it somewhere, a HDMI converter for HDMI cable for this as well. And I think what you do is it's basically the same thing as the AV. You just plug it into the AV port, and then again you have a serial port here as well. I don't know what that was for, but then of course you have the Ethernet port right there, which again, believe it or not, had this. I was still able to go online with this when I was playing it. The only game I have for it right now is Sonic Adventure, the original one for it. I did have at one point WWF Attitude. I don't know why I got rid of that, but I think it's because I had it for the PlayStation, I think. So I figured, why do I want to have it on the the Dreamcast? I think also because I needed money, so I traded it in. But yeah, this is like I said, this is the original one of the original Dreamcast that came out. You can definitely tell I need to clean it a little bit, kind of refurnish it, kind of clean it up a little bit. But yeah, overall, I was really happy to get this, and believe it or not, this was officially my only Sega console ever bought. I never had a Genesis, never had a Saturn, or anything like that. This was the only console I ever had that was Sega manufactured, and that's the Dreamcast. So I was really happy to get that. And like I said, outside of all that, those, along with the GameCube, along with the PS2, and along with the Super Nintendo, those are my 5 to 6, actually 6 oldest consoles I have right now. The other ones that are, right behind it, of course, are the Wii, the Wii U, and the Xbox 360. But those are a lot more younger in stature, if you will, than than these systems are that I'm speaking of. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here, do this little video, show you some of the oldest consoles I have, video game wise, in my possession right now. That are still functional, I could still play and all that. And as well as mention some other ones that I have that I don't really want to dig out or anything or disconnect, But let me know your guys' oldest consoles. Which ones do you have in your collection that are older than I think anybody would think? Let me know it in the comment section down below, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Click on the icon in the upper left-hand corner to check out my Teespring store. Also, check me out at BW Roses Discussions Podcast, where you'll find audio podcast versions of many of my YouTube videos on there. Go and support that at all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Also support me at deviantart.com/BVW1979, VENMO at BW Roses for content you can't get here on YouTube. Support me at Venmo at Brian-Warmer-2, Cash App at BW Roses98, and Patreon.com at BW Roses with the $1 or $3 tier. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are. What are some of the oldest consoles you have in your possession that you know of? And until next time, talk to y'all later.